You're listening to Spark TV, where we bring you daily interviews with real women in business at all stages. I'm your host, Danielle Lewis, and I am so grateful to have you here. Amazing! Yona, welcome to Spark TV.
It is great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my God, so excited. I have spoken to you several times on our members' calls, but sometimes you don't get to dive as deep as you'd like to. So I'm very excited to be able to share your story today. So fun.
Actually looking forward to sharing the story because I know that there are a number of people who, just like me, do not know where to start or what to do or think if they're good enough, all of those kind of things. So it's really lovely to share.
Oh, I can't wait to get into it. Well, let's do it. Let's just start. So let's start out by telling everybody who you are and what you do.
So my name is Yona Heyward. I work with my partner in life and in business, Michael Hayward. I started off life just wandering around and not knowing where I fitted and trying to do a number of different things. But I really got into education and teaching as an early years teacher. But being in that role, there is one thing about believing what is best practice and actually experiencing the control from government and from different
Mm,
places and not being able to be the teacher you wish to be.
mm.
So my husband said, "Why don't you come and work with me?" He had started his own business, and so I trotted along and did that, and discovered that actually he wasn't helping me out. I was helping him out.
Yeah.
He'd come along and he'd say, "Here, here's a job. This is what to do." I don't know how to do it, and legged it. You think, "Oh, great."
They're good, aren't they?
So I joined Hayward Group. We were living in the UK at the time, and talk about living outside your comfort zone. It wasn't my world, which was they did hospitality, and particularly in working in hotels. That's where Michael's background is, where I come from education.
Mm.
Um, so really felt like I didn't walk the walk, I didn't talk the talk, those kind of things. So how did I fit in here completely outside my comfort zone? But we developed a lot of training for hotels and particularly looking at the humanistic side, things that we often call soft skills, and we don't like calling them soft skills because they're harder than the hard skills.
Yeah.
So, um, so, and this is where my talents came into it because I'd been working with families, I've been working with children who can't express themselves,
Mm.
don't have the words to describe what they're involved with. And this is the same as the humanistic skills, is we've moved so far with the humanistic skills. We often learn them on the jobs, but that
Mm.
depends on who your supervisor is, how much time they have. And nowadays, there is, we on this productivity drive. Actually, it leaves you no time for training or considering. So it's observing, going in and observing how teams work, um, and recognizing individuals, components within that team that either drives that to a dysfunctional team or actually drives it to an effective team. And so I found my observation skills and working with people skills really benefited in that area. Then a couple of years ago, we moved back to Australia for family reasons. It's really nice. And like many people I know, who used to work overseas, everybody's driving back home again. So, but that transition is not as easy as it always seems, because people here are used to working with people here. If you don't
Yeah.
have the contacts, trying to do what you did overseas, there's a lot of established people here. So, you're swimming in a red sea, really. There's lots of competition. But what we discovered was that particularly in hotels that benchmark their rooms to know whether they are setting their prices correctly, what we discovered was none of that was happening for meeting and event spaces.
Wow.
And so we did kind of a survey and got a group of hotels all together in Melbourne to say, is this a problem? Would you like benchmarking, to know whether you're leaving money on the table or whether you're driving your business correctly, or you might be. Nobody knows. What we discovered was there's no standardized metrics anywhere in the world. There is no articles about it. It's just a void.
Mm,
And yet, to be able to drive profits, if you want to improve yourselves, you can't. You've got to have some kind of measurements.
mm,
So the group said, yes, we do. Yes, we can agree on standardized metrics. Yes, we do want such a product to benchmark ourselves against the market. And so we took the plunge. And it's because Michael's so high up in revenue management, we decided to do that. So
wow.
we developed Emekeli Research, which is our latest project.
Oh my God, that is incredible. And there's just so many things to unpack there. And I just love your vulnerability and openness to share that, it's not a linear journey. You don't you don't just wake up and say, "You know what? I want to be a successful business owner and here's my idea." Often it is just as much a journey of self-discovery as it is figuring business out as well.
Yeah. It's also knowing what is an opportunity
Mm,
and being in the place ready to take advantage of that opportunity.
I
Quite
love that.
often, what happens is we don't recognize something as an opportunity
Mm.
and we're also not ready for it. So many of these things is about timing. So,
Yeah, you are spot on, and sometimes I think that people are sitting back waiting for opportunities, and it's actually in the doing, and taking action and putting yourself out there that they tend to come. And I love that you talked about being totally outside your comfort zone
yes.
because I feel like I've been outside of my comfort zone for the last 20 years. But it is such an interesting thing. You do have to really, I guess, go out on that limb
Mm.
to put yourself out there, to put your idea out there, to let the opportunities come to you. So it is almost a chicken before the egg scenario where you've got to get out there, you've got to try and do the things. But then also, I love your point is you've also got to recognize the opportunities when they come and jump on them as well.
That's right. Yeah. I also think there's an element of courage needed.
Mm,
And many of us, we often want a simple life.
yeah.
Um,
Yes, tell me about it.
and it's really lovely. It takes a lot of energy to be
Mm,
courageous, to take that step. And I'm not talking about large acts of courage. I'm
mm,
talking about picking up the phone and talking with somebody.
yes.
That takes courage, all right? You need to think about what you're doing and how
Mm,
you're doing it, but it's those small acts of courage that lead to the next one and then lead to the next one. And that's what's really important. You you need to gauge and think about what you're doing. You need to understand where your limitations are. Okay, living outside your comfort zone and doing new things all the time is like you said, it takes you 20 years. I've been here for about 7 years now. Um, but it does take energy, and you really do need to be self-aware of where
Mm,
your strengths are and what your abilities are, and also your limitations, where you need to ask for help.
mm,
So all of those are important when you take acts of courage. But start out small. Build them up a little bit by little bit. You never know where the road takes you. We didn't know we would go down this Emekeli. I've had to learn about tech like nobody's business. I'm really fortunate to be able to say I'm a dinosaur, and tech at the moment is moving so fast. The
yes.
AI and building agents or assistants or, the little bots to help you move forward. When I was first told about this, my jaw just dropped and I went, I am so far behind. I don't know where to go. But it's not being afraid of those. It's just
Mm,
saying, that's not my skill set. Who can I find to come on board and join us? And we are so fortunate. Systema is our tech guys who are building and being security, and we wouldn't be here with them. We wouldn't be
mm.
able to do this adventure. But I had to be courageous and pick up the phone and find such a partner. And that takes time and effort. But
Mm.
I knew that we would not be able to go anywhere without doing that. So that's those small acts of courage that allow you to move on.
I love that so much. And it reminds me, we've been in the last couple of Spark members virtual coffee sessions together. And I remember, I think 2 sessions ago, you were talking about an AI workshop that you were going to. And then in our last session, you very generously shared your learnings. And I just thought, isn't it interesting how learning never ends, learning never
Yes.
stops, and you say you're a dinosaur, but I feel like we're all dinosaurs at the rate that technology is moving. If you're not being courageous
Yeah.
and kind of maybe sometimes swallowing our pride a little bit and saying we don't know everything, and actually putting ourselves out there and learning and being open to learn, whether it be in a workshop or a course or from each other, which is one thing I love about Spark. You can't keep up with things unless you are willing to learn.
I think understanding ourselves, being self-aware, I often call things about understanding our limitations. We would often talk about weaknesses. Well, everybody's good at something and everybody's not good at things. Um, that to be able to understand our limitations
Mm,
allows us to either find ways of going around those weaknesses, like finding a partner, asking for help, or going off and learning and practicing those skills, because often we put it to a side and say, no, 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 I don't
too
do
hard.
that
Yeah.
kind of thing,
Future me problem.
cannot get better doing, not doing. So you need to find ways of pushing your
Mm,
limitations. And that just takes practice, it takes energy, it takes commitment to be
mm,
able to do that. But once you know those limitations and how far you can push them back or find assistance to go around them, um, then they don't become barriers. All they are is you understand what you can do and what you can't do and how you can navigate around those.
Yeah, and I love that you talk about this because I feel like this is true at any age
Mhm.
and true at any stage of
Yeah,
business. You know, it doesn't matter if you're 20 and you were born with an iPhone in your hand, technology will still move at a rate of knots, and you do have to um, I guess, have a commitment to yourself of lifelong learning. But I also love it too because if it's true for the 20-year-old, it's true for the 40-year-old, it's true for the 60-year-old, it's true for the 80-year-old, which means it's never too late. If you have a dream and you feel like you're behind, who cares? Like it's never too late to learn something new and evolve in business.
absolutely. Um, I learnt this when we did Harrison assessments. It's a behavioral profiling that not many people know about, but I was in a big, deep hole, and Michael's learning how to do this. So I was his guinea pig, for going through the debriefing and going through the questionnaires and getting the reports and all of those kind of things. And what I was amazed at is how it uh, shows us our blind sides, it shows us our strengths. The positivity is great, but it also allows you to say, in this area, I can develop further. And the number of times I keep coming back to the Harrison reports and having things on paper to be able to work through. We can take teams and have a look at the workflow and the structure according to people's strengths or the capabilities of building a team up,
Mm,
or saying, you've got a hole here. You've developed this team and they're all alike, but you need different points of view. You need
mm,
different skill sets so that you can give a holistic service to whatever customers or whatever work you need or goal to get to. And it's understanding how those individuals knit together to make a great team is really important. And I find Harrison assessments really, really helpful in that way for the individual as well as for the cohesion of a team.
yeah, and it is really interesting. I remember when I was building my first team in my first business, it was the first time that I really was in a management kind of position. Before that, I was a salesperson. So, as a salesperson, you're kind of a lone wolf, the harder you work, the better you do. And I had to build a team in my previous business. And I did that. I just hired everyone that was like myself. Just, you know, people that you like hanging out with. Didn't work out well for me. But I think it's so interesting. I think sometimes as business owners, we feel a bit of shame around not being able to do everything or not being everything to everyone. So I love that you've brought that up because that's just life. Like we all have our own strengths and weaknesses,
Exactly.
and the more you can figure out what yours are, then you can fill those gaps in your team or business or whatever it is.
It's like getting a 2IC with you
Yeah.
and saying, right, you cover the things that I'm not good at,
Mm.
and I cover the things that you're not good at. And so you knit in a little team, but it really helps. But you have to be self-aware of your limitations and your strengths. The self-awareness is so important. And this keeps coming up in different areas like radical collaboration or,
Mm.
five dysfunctions of a team, all of these kind of things. They keep on coming up. The self-awareness is so important. I think you come up with a really great point about being a leader, is that we have this kind of view in our heads to say the leader leads and everybody rests upon them.
Mm.
That's not what a leader is. A leader is somebody who understands the team underneath them, the goals
Mm.
and how to get somewhere. So they provide the clarity for others to work, but then you rely on the strength of the team to actually get you there. So you're much more of a guider. There was this great book, and I can't remember it, but the analogy is, and so many people say, I'm a hands-on, leader.
Yes.
And they talk about a dance floor, all right? And if you're in the middle of the dance floor, you cannot see the flows and the ebbs that are happening.
Mm.
Okay, you get a vision of somebody working beside you, but you don't get a vision of the effects of their actions in amongst the rest of the team. So as a leader, you need to be out up on the balcony, looking down, seeing where the flows are going, how things are moving, the impacts of particular behaviors that are happening on the dance floor. I mean, if one person's doing ballet and the other person's doing hip hop, it's really hard to get those two to work smoothly together for an outcome that you're looking for. And I think that's really important. Yes, understanding our capabilities and the areas that we're not good at as a leader is really, really important for building teams. Yeah.
I love that so much. And I think it's just so true, whether it be a large team or a small team,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you're listening to this and you are a solo business owner and you're ready to bring on your first person, or, whether that be a contractor or a full-time person or whatever, thinking about it from the start, I think is so important.
We often think about, do they have the qualifications? Do they have
Mm,
the experience? But we need to also know, does that person fit into the team? You know, is it a team that needs to be rustled up and that you've got somebody who's strong, who's able to do that coming into the team or filling a gap that is needed in the
mm,
team? Um, and also, can they work with you? What is
mm,
your profile against another person's profile? It The decisions are really fundamental to find not the best person for the job, but the best fit for the team and organization,
mm,
because then you're able to move together. Also, finding out their purpose. Where are they
mm.
going? What do they want? Are they aligned with your purpose?
Yes.
Because if they're not, then what I find is you seem to be traveling along the same road, and then later down the track you find you're on completely different roads. And it is expensive employing somebody. It's even more expensive if they are not the right person and you need to let them go. The processes to go through that, and
Yeah.
we have been down that track. It's a very, very expensive proposition. So to get it right first is really important.
It's also traumatizing.
It
You
is.
know, it's also traumatizing when you've got someone in your business that is not living up to your expectations
Yeah.
and you have to go through that process of getting rid of them. It's just, it's an interesting skill that you don't get taught. You kind of learn on the job. And yeah, and it's just, it was actually a really hard lesson that I learned early in running a business, is that not everybody will work in your business the way you work in your business. And in fact, nobody will, because it's your baby and you love it and you will work on it 24/7 if the coffee would stay strong enough. And there are people who don't aspire to be business owners. There are people who are fantastic employees and they care and they want to grow your business and work with you. But there are also people who just want to come to work and do their job and go home and live their life. And
Exactly.
you do have
Yes,
to respect that and figure it out where everyone's at.
that's right. And knowing that, finding a way to discover that in interviews is
Yeah.
really, really important because then you know which people are gunning for your business and
Mm,
other people who, like you said, just want to come home, do their job, take their pay packet. And there's lots of people like that. Those
mm,
are the people who like to live in their comfort zone. And they may have priorities somewhere else. It
hmm.
might be a sporting activity or a club or a voluntary
Yeah.
activity that is their true love. Their job is just a means to an end.
Mm,
But that is really difficult to find that balance within your own company. So, because you wish to try and grow that, and if you have to part ways, oh my goodness, it that's when you have to take really tough decisions. You must get qualified information
mm.
and advice so that you know that you're doing it right because the opportunities of it coming and biting you in the backside is huge. And it that is scary and it
Mm.
takes so we've been through a year of dealing with that
Wow.
and the consequences on the funds in your company
Yeah.
we are still, we've said goodbye to somebody 6 months ago, and we're still dealing with the outcomes of the impact of what has occurred.
Wow.
It just takes a lot of time. But
Mm.
and here is where the big courage. If we kept doing what we were doing and backing the person who actually wasn't achieving,
Mm.
um, then that would have been the end of our company.
Yeah, and I love that you use the word courage and being courageous because you are right. Sometimes it is easier just to sit on things and not make the decision. It's far more
Absolutely.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Having hard conversations is really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you really do have to think about the longer you put things off, sometimes the bigger detriment to your business. And as horrific as it feels in the moment, this is actually your job as the business owner is to look at the best interest of the business.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means being very courageous and having conversations that we don't want to have.
That's right. It's tough decisions,
Mm,
but that is why we're leaders. Um,
yes.
it's not the only the fantastic and watching people grow and develop and watching,
Mm.
the profit line go up. It's not all of that. There is the
Yes.
flip side. And sometimes we do have to make really, really tough decisions. I remember we were in France and we were doing a workshop for a group of people, and they wanted to know more about a particular situation. And it just turned out being saying it is our job to take tough decisions, and
Mm,
we have to gather our knowledge. We have to be prepared. We have to protect ourselves.
mm,
And we have to have a plan how you're going to do it. These things are really important if you have to make really tough decisions,
yeah.
just so that you know that you're doing it right. And
Yes.
there are people out there that can help with that, which is brilliant. But in the end, we have to do the doing.
Yes. Yes, and I do like that you said that because I'm thinking about one of my worst ones was during COVID, and Australia went into this
Oh, yes.
like people were on oh God, I can't even remember what the programs were, but they were paying people to stay in your business and there was stood down and step down and all these things, and we really fucked one of them up. Um, but as soon as I realized that it was just getting out of control, I just proactively contacted Fair Work,
Yeah.
and they actually like basically drafted all my emails, did every like or helped with everything. No, they took that in ex-employees' emails and went, okay, this is what they're saying, this is what we'll say. They were on my team. They were on my side. I was like,
That's it.
oh, okay, we actually want good things to happen for employees and employers. And there
Yeah.
are people out there that can help. I think that it is, you do actually have to be the one that steps up and goes, I need some help here. Yes, I'll have the tough conversations, but if somebody could please guide me, that would be amazing.
This is what we found. We went out to a HR agency
Mm,
and consultants business, and they were the ones. They know all the laws of the land,
mm. Yes.
and so and this is what I mean by making sure that you're protected.
Yeah.
That to make sure you're doing it right. And you're absolutely right. They will do all the emails.
Mm,
Yes, you have to pay for it,
yes.
but it's better than doing it wrong
Mm,
because it will pay you more in the long term. And you then go into conversations with the employees with confidence,
yes.
knowing that this is the right thing. And you show how you're doing the right things for them as well as for us, or for yourself, or for the business. So
Mm,
it's important to show both sides, but
yeah.
it's tough going.
It is, and it's so funny. It kind of circles back to the conversation, like where this conversation started, which was business is such a lesson in self-development, isn't it? It's just, we think it's about making money, but really it's about us and us growing and us figuring out what we're good at and not good at and our boundaries and doing hard things and learning and growing. It's really just a self-development project.
It is. But do you know what I like about Spark? Is that you have the opportunity to bring information to other people who are going through
Mm,
the same things that you're going through. It's so important to have
mm,
somebody who you can go and say, I'm facing this challenge and let me talk about it. And other people will give you, their 2 cents piece of information or advice or what they've experienced. It might be mentoring, it might be through coaching, whatever. To be able to have that facility really helps you because it gives you time and space for reflection.
mm.
We've got things coming at us at 100 miles an hour. When we're leaders, you have to be really quick on discerning what is important information and what isn't. We don't stop and take a breath and say, what are we actually looking at here? Are we following through the strategies that we wish to? Are they being effective or not?
Mm,
Um, do I need to alter a few things to actually get us across the line? And it's not until we stop, and this is the problem with our world. It's
mm,
getting faster and faster. Change is happening more and more and more. But we do need, as leaders, time to stop
yeah.
and reflect on what we're doing here, touch back to our purpose, our mission, what we want to achieve for the company's for the company's sake, and then try and um, it's like a touch point or
Mm,
having a space of silence to be able to really look at the situation. There may be sections of the problem or challenge that we have no information for. And then you can set your priorities so you're able to move forward. But often we don't put that space in. There's no time to do that.
yeah, of course, yes.
Yeah.
I know, and it's so true. It's funny, I was thinking about that. So this morning we had our monthly virtual journaling Spark session, and I follow along. I use it as my time to do it as well. And I was looking at what I had written down, and I thought, kind of really getting to the point where I'm feeling quite clear about what 2026 will hold for me. But I was thinking of how long it took me to get there, like how long.
Yeah,
And I was like, it's because you don't stop. Like the only time I stop is in the Spark calls. So if it's talking to you guys or on the journaling or in the CEO time. And I think, yeah, I don't even hold space for myself unless it's with the Spark community. So
yeah,
you're only getting these pockets of time to
yeah.
actually slow down and think because you're right. Everything is just a million miles an hour. And you've really got to, yeah, factor in that time for yourself. You got to be the CEO.
I remember when Michael was the front office manager, and they had two lots of hotels because they were joined in the same building, and then up the road, same company, but different brand of hotel was up the road, and so the front office manager there, they would meet on a fortnightly basis
Mm-hmm.
and just talk through the challenges. And they were allowed to do that because they were of the same company. So
Mm.
it wasn't crossing over commercial confidentiality. Great. I've never seen Michael grow so much.
Wow.
And so we're not talking about training or
Another
and
course.
of all of
Yeah.
those kind of things.
Mm.
Sometimes it's it's having a mentor or somebody else in the same situation. Again, it's that time of reflection to be
Mm.
able to speak out loud
Yeah.
what your situation is. Because when you do that, you've got to explain the situation. And as you're doing that, your mind's going, Oi, I missed that
Oh.
component.
Oh my God, it's so true. I think a lot can be solved by just saying things out loud and getting
Yeah,
them out of your head sometimes.
yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. I could talk to you all day, Yona. But I always love to wrap up these podcasts with one last piece of advice. So, reflecting on your time in business, what would be a piece of advice that you would give to another woman on her business journey?
Look after your energy.
Mm.
Being courageous takes your energy. When you have got a team underneath you, then you're carrying quite a load with those people. You need to give clarity and all of those kind of things. This all takes energy. And sometimes we are required to do things we are not good at. And that takes energy. And it's really important to recognize that you need time out, whether that's to reflect, whether that is just a complete break, whether it's to go off to a conference and listen to other people. It allows your mind to be freer and it allows your mind to just have things swirling in the back of your head and then things suddenly click into place. But you need to have the energy and spark. And if you don't go and have your breaks, if you're working 14 hours a day, then you don't get time for yourself. Your brain doesn't get time to stop. And it impacts over the long term, it impacts your energy reserves. And you need your energy reserves.
Oh, you are absolutely incredible, Yona. Thank you so much again for sharing your story and wisdom with the Spark community. That was absolutely incredible.
Thank you for the opportunity to share. I really appreciate being part of the Sparks. The last conversation that I was part of, it just blew my mind. People have advice to give you, and it was just lovely. Again, having that space to talk things out, it was just great. Thank you for having me.
That wraps another episode of Spark TV. Shout out to Spark TV sponsor IP Australia for their amazing support of the Spark podcast and women in business. And if no one tells you today, you've got this.